Good morning, I'm Evan Dean.
Good morning, I'm Sarah Simnich.
My family is now broken forever, and we will never be the same.
It's a story we followed since the day it happened. Emotions running high in this Leelanau County courtroom. The family of the man who died in a car crash faces the driver responsible as he learns his sentence.
And this Wexford County pastor is dead after a terrible accident. He was a passenger on a plane that went down over Wisconsin.
Everybody, I'm Kaylin Franks live at the Carl T. Johnson Center in Cadillac, previewing a free class for fly anglers. If you're a fly fisherman or a fly fisherwoman, you can't miss, and it starts next week.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Michael Stevens. Going to be looking at really a little more sunshine today, with temperatures still a little bit on the cool side. Of all the details coming up in just a bit.
You do start to realize that this is a pretty special town and a pretty special area that we live in.
Plus, a picture is worth 1,000 words. In this week's edition of Jack's Journal, we're learning about the hardworking people and history that laid the foundation for this northern Michigan city.
And this isn't your standard computer class. TCAPS is trying some new technology that could pave the way for these young minds. Today is Tuesday, January 27, 2015.
This is Michigan This Morning with Sarah Simnich, Evan Dean, and Doppler 9 and 10 meteorologist Michael Stevens. Your first look at local news, live coverage from where you live, and the 10-minute weather guarantee. Michigan This Morning, only on Northern Michigan's news leader.
Yeah, there they are, fly fishing and tying flies. I'm going to say it wrong a couple times this morning.
They're just flies.
It's so cool. I'm really intrigued by this. I'm excited to see what the morning has in store. I think it's really neat.
Yeah,
Very
it is.
tedious
And
work.
earlier, Kaylin and Stephanie showed that they could also be hair accessories, apparently, as well. So
Yeah.
multiple uses.
I don't know.
If you don't go fly fishing, but you think those look cool,
Just put one in your hair.
maybe.
I should try it.
I'm going to tell you right now, fly tying is not for the ADDs. I get very bored.
Not
tying
for the
flies.
Like I said, very tedious
Also,
work.
not for people who aren't good, with their fingers.
With your hands, yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
got-
clumsy.
I got the stumps. They don't push buttons on a phone or tie little knots very well, so
But they've got time to do it because
Yes.
it's not going to be.
ready to go.
No, it's
by
not going to
the
be
time-
warm anytime soon.
No, 3 in Newberry right now. We have 6 in Sault Ste. Marie. So stay in and tie those flies. It's actually going to continue to be a pretty decent week for us. I will say that because it is not going to be very nice for areas over on the East Coast, as they're going to be dodging a few more storm systems. But 3 right now in Newberry, 6 right now in the Sioux, while you have clear skies to north. Clouds as well as some warmer temperatures for areas of the lower peninsula, but your skies are starting to clear out as we speak. So right now, Traverse City, areas towards Frankfort, Manistee, you're starting to see some clear skies. Same for Petoskey. While we do have just a touch of snow for southern Newaygo County, but that is working its way out as well. So right now, just a little bit of snow there for areas towards Newaygo, Croton, and it's working its way out to the south. So for today, going to be looking at mostly sunny skies out there. Your temperature is going to be in the upper teens and mid-20s, decreasing clouds, light winds, and I'll have much more and look at that full 7-day forecast in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Michael. We start this morning with some tragic news out of Wisconsin. A northern Michigan pastor died in a plane crash.
Martin Siegwart was a passenger on a single-engine plane headed to Minnesota with a pilot and one other passenger. The pilot noticed ice starting to form on the wings. He tried to make an emergency landing on a Wisconsin road. One of the wings hit a tree, sending it crashing into a ditch. Siegwart was a pastor at Boone Baptist Church in Wexford County. The pilot and other passenger were taken to a Wisconsin hospital.
The teen who caused a deadly crash in Leelanau County last year apologized to the families involved. Then, a judge sentenced him for the crime. Tyler Levesque learned he will spend 1 year in jail. Levesque was behind the wheel when he crashed into a truck at Botus and Schaumburg Roads in Centerville Township back in August. The man in the truck, Brian Nahazel, died at the scene. Drake Hendershot, a passenger in Levesque's car, also died. Last month, he pleaded guilty to 3 counts of reckless driving. Monday, the judge sentenced Levesque to 1 year in the county jail for each of the 3 counts he faced. Each sentence will be served concurrently, meaning he'll spend 1 year in jail. Family of those involved in the crash made statements Monday, as did Tyler.
Do you have any idea what it was like to say goodbye to my brother? to call my family members, my brother's fiance and friends, and tell them my brother was dead.
I've learned that any kind of fun which potentially puts others in harm's way is wrong. To think of both short and long-term consequences before I act.
Levesque will be on probation for 5 years. He'll also have to do 200 hours of community service, including sharing his experience so others can learn from his mistake.
In continuing coverage, an estimated 60 million people are waking up to a blizzard like they've never seen before. Travel bans are in effect from New Jersey up to Massachusetts as crews try to manage the onslaught of snow. Forecasters are predicting up to 3 feet in some areas, while 6 states have declared emergencies. New York City, Boston, and New Jersey have suspended travel on all subways, buses, and trains. And airlines have canceled nearly 8,000 flights. Snow isn't the only worry. Hurricane-force wind gusts are reaching speeds of more than 75 miles per hour.
If you lose power during the storm because of high winds, you might be without power for a period of 24 to 48 hours.
The blizzard warning will remain in effect until Wednesday. Even before the snow started falling, airlines were canceling thousands of flights, and now northern Michigan airports are starting to feel that impact. So far, Cherry Capital Airport has had 1 flight delay but no cancellations. This time of year, airlines there travel to and from Detroit and Chicago. So if those cities have problems, there could be issues in Traverse City. Cherry Capital has 16 flights coming in and out of their airport every day. For the latest flight information, head to 9and10news.com.
In this update, we can now tell you the name of the man accused of shooting a woman in Roscommon County. The shooting happened Saturday night at a home near Houghton Lake. Edward Percula is now charged with 1 count of assault with intent to murder and felony firearm. State police say he shot a woman during a fight. She was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And an update this morning on a newborn baby found dead at a downstate recycling center. Police arrested a suspect Monday. Police say they arrested a 24-year-old woman for the death of the boy. The baby was found earlier this month in Roseville. Police think he was between 1 and 3 days old when he died. Items found with the baby in the recycling bin suggested he may have come from Roscommon, Midland, or Aranac counties. But investigators who were sent to search in northern Michigan were called back downstate to follow leads there.
2 more people are now charged in relation to a 2-county drug investigation. Detectives got a tip about a home in Leelanau County's Elmwood Township more than a year ago. Later, they found a second home the suspected drug dealers were using in Lake Ann in Benzie County. 3 people were arrested. Angelo and Salvador Gutierrez are both charged with having a controlled substance, planning to sell drugs, using a computer to commit a crime, maintaining a drug house, and for having a gun. And Julian Jimenez is charged with having cocaine. During the investigation, police seized marijuana, guns, more than 100 grams of cocaine, and evidence of drugs being sold. They also seized several vehicles.
More details on 6 University of Michigan fraternities and sororities that vandalized 2 northern Michigan ski resorts. Happened just over a week ago at Treetops Resort in Gaylord and Boyne Highlands in Harbor Springs. The U of M students did more than $100,000 in damage to the resorts. All fraternities and sororities involved have been suspended by their national chapters while Greek life organizers investigate. So far, there have not been any criminal charges.
A Highland man was killed in a snowmobiling accident in Chippewa County. It happened south of Rayco on Trail 480 Saturday afternoon. Deputies say Craig Althouse was going too fast for the trail conditions when he ran off the trail and smashed into a group of trees. Althouse died at the scene. It's been a slow start to snowmobile season, but the DNR is warning snowmobilers to be mindful when they're out. They're reminding snowmobilers that it's important to know the trail you're on, day or night. Trails are not always straight, they're often curvy, and knowing if you're coming up to a curve could make the difference between a safe, fun ride or a trip to the hospital.
A lot of our accidents happen at night, after dark, and it happens where people fail to negotiate a curve or something in the trail and hit a fixed object like a tree or a sign, and those are quite often fairly serious injury-related accidents.
The DNR would also like to remind snowmobilers that they have to stop before crossing any roads.
Parts of Traverse City are notorious for having backed up traffic. Some roads are over capacity. Last night, city commissioners discussed how reducing road construction funding in the next budget could ease summer traffic. The Traverse City manager suggests cutting $300,000 from road funding from next year's budget. He says the money can be used for other projects and alleviate some of the construction headaches drivers face in the city. But commissioners had some mixed responses. Some believe the city shouldn't cut road funding. Business owners see this as a balancing act. They're willing to give up some convenience if it'll make transportation better in the long run. The city manager is going to come back to the board with some more information before a decision is reached. The city budget discussions will continue. The next budget needs to be set by July 1st. To avoid bankruptcy, a township board eliminated their emergency medical services. Last Wednesday, the Selma Township Board voted to end their EMS services at the fire department. The board says the EMS service was put into place about 2 years ago, and since then it's put them $150,000 in the hole. By eliminating EMS, there will no longer be 24/7 personnel, and they will use North Flight's ambulance service in Cadillac rather than their own.
The time difference would make a big difference, so that could mean a matter of life and death.
We checked into every alternative that we could, and we just couldn't come up with the funds to take care of it.
Because of the elimination, 14 of the 25 employees quit the fire department, including the chief and his assistant.
A 3D printer is helping students in one Traverse City classroom. RJG Incorporated donated the high-tech printer to 5th grade students at Traverse City Eastern Elementary. Over the last few months, they've used it to design pieces such as plastic mustache rings and miniature bunny slippers, all with a computer and creativity. Their teacher, Karen Nelson, says this machine is extremely popular in her classroom. Not only is it fun and innovative, students are also using math, engineering, and art skills to create 3D figures.
It's a trial and error and a trial by fire sometimes, and thankfully the students are not afraid of it at all. Our learning curve continues to go straight up right now.
Karen says this could be the future of learning in the classroom and believes her students are learning technology they could use in their career someday.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, awesome to have a tool like that in your classroom.
Yeah, for those kids to have that, that's awesome.
Pretty neat.
All right, 6:09 now on Michigan This Morning. Let's take a look at what is still to come, a lot to come, including a look at those first and 10 birthdays at 6:15. And at 6:18, our On the Road crew is learning how to tie flies this morning in Cadillac. They're live showing you how to learn the craft.
And your first listen to today's Bullseye Year Music Trivia, that's coming up at 6:22.
Welcome back to Michigan This Morning, 6:19 here. The Mackinac Trail Fly Fishers and the Pine River Area chapter of Trout Unlimited is gearing up for their fly tying class this winter.
Yeah, fly tying is a true art form, and this free class aims to help get anglers excited for another season on the river. Kaylin and Stephanie are live this morning at the Carl T. Johnson Center in Cadillac with more. Good morning, Kaylin.
Hey, good morning, you guys. Fly tying or tying flies, I consider this, John, an art form because it really is. When I look at the detail in these things, they're like little mini pieces, works of art.
It can be.
Okay.
Some of the tires get to the point where stuff is so detailed that it is actually a work of art.
Yeah.
And then there's the more practical side of the flies that more often are used, the ones that really catch the fish.
Okay, I want to go for the flies that catch the fish. And we're talking about materials you guys use. And I mean, we got to talk about some of the crazier stuff. What is this?
That is, well, those are chicken feathers. Those come off the back of a rooster. Those chickens are bred specifically for fly tying feathers.
Wow. And then this is another part of the chicken as well. You were going to show me a little demonstration with it.
From the back of the head and across the neck of the chicken, of a rooster. Okay. And if you've ever heard the expression, these are called hackles. Yeah. When somebody gets mad, and if you ever see two chickens that get ready to fight, they get nose to nose and they do this.
Yes.
And that's getting your hackles up.
Okay. So each of these little, like, individual feathers, they're so small. That's what's going to go into some of these flies.
Right, that's what, and we will show it in a future, in one of the next episodes, how these actually work.
Okay. You also have a lot of cool stuff that I sort of expected to see, some feathers, and what is, like, these little pelts, or I don't know what those are.
This is body hair from a deer, one of our regular white-tailed deer.
Okay.
This is fur from a muskrat.
Okay.
This is a wild turkey tail feather.
Okay.
Wild turkey wing feather. Goose wing feather.
Okay.
Most everybody can recognize this. It's a ringneck pheasant tail feather.
So beautiful.
This is a tail from one of local fox squirrels, or a fox squirrel from someplace. We have lots of those around.
Yeah, whoa. And then
Yes, yes.
you have the peacock feather. This looks like what I see running across the road when I almost hit them every morning driving to work.
Right. Those are, we call them bucktails, but they're deer tails.
Okay, you guys, this is crazy. And you'll see that you've never seen a purple deer. They dye some of it for color. We're going to talk about what the colors mean. And we got to get fly tying some flies. We'll see you at 6:45.
Never seen a purple deer? I have.
Yeah? Really? Where's that?
I know Michael Stevens has, yeah.
You guys really have not seen purple deer, you and Kaylin.
They exist.
You've grown up in Cadillac and never seen a purple deer.
I have not.
It's a thing.
She's from Flint and she's seen it.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I've never seen a purple deer. Take a look at what we have outside. I actually almost convinced myself that I had seen a purple deer. Take a look at what we have outside for you this morning. It is much colder to the north because we have clear skies. Winds are light, 4 to about 22 degrees. We have a little more cloud cover, light snow for some spots towards Newaygo County, but all in all, things pretty quiet this morning. And as we work our way through the rest of this morning, you'll see those clouds clear out. We'll have mostly sunny skies for today, and your temperature is going to be in the upper teens and mid-20s. And that light snow right now, exiting Newaygo County, continuing to follow M37, though, as it works its way down towards Grand Rapids. And it's just light, not very heavy by any means, so it shouldn't give you any issues this morning along M37 for your morning commute. 18 to 25 today, decreasing clouds, light winds. All in all, a pretty decent day for northern Michigan and more quiet weather on the way. I'll have all the details coming up in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Michael. 6:23 here on Michigan This Morning. That means it is time for our very first listen of today's Bullseye Year music trivia. Michael Jackson, Billie Jean. Which year was it a hit? Evan has your answer right after the break.
1983, the answer to our Bullseye Year. 6:24, welcome back to Michigan This Morning. St. Ignace grad Nicole Elmblad is one of 30 women's basketball players in the nation who's up for the Senior Class Award. It's handed out to Division I athletes who excel in community, classroom, character, and competition, and of course, got to be a senior in college. Elmblad enjoying her last go-around with the Wolverines this year. Michigan hosting Illinois on Monday. Maize and Blue leaning on Saisha Gorey for the bulk of their scoring, getting the first points of the game in the post. Off the inbound pass, Wolverines finding Sierra Thompson for the long two, continuing the early run for Michigan. Then Danielle Williams' bounce pass to Gorey's good for another two, forcing Illinois to call a timeout. And Michigan rolls to a 70-57 victory.
Will they be punished? Probably not. Not as long as Robert Kraft and Roger Goodell are still taking pictures at their respective homes. I think it was just at Kraft's house last week for the AFC Championship. You talk about conflict of interest.
Yeah, Seattle Seahawks star cornerback Richard Sherman, never afraid to speak his mind, doing so again this past weekend. Those were Sherman's thoughts on whether or not the New England Patriots will be punished for the deflated footballs used during the first half of their AFC Championship game victory. Now, the Patriots and Seahawks meet in Glendale, Arizona for Super Bowl 49 this Sunday, and Super Bowl week is officially underway. Both teams have arrived in Arizona. Deflategate, as it's been called, has really dominated the storylines leading up to the season's biggest game. And Patriots owner Robert Kraft told media on Monday that he welcomes an investigation and maybe something else.
If the Wells investigation is not able to definitively determine that our organization tampered with the air pressure in the footballs, I would expect and hope that the league would apologize to our entire team, and in particular, Coach Belichick and Tom Brady.
Kraft also said that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have never lied to him before, so he's confident their names will be cleared. And as for the latest reports about those deflated footballs, Fox Sports is reporting that a Patriots locker room attendant allegedly took the game balls from the officials' locker room to a separate destination, and then the footballs arrived on the field. Fox Sports says the league has interviewed the attendant, has the video, but still determining if any wrongdoing occurred. Earlier, we mentioned St. Ignace grad Nicole Elmblad up for the Senior Class Award in college basketball, but so is Ferris State goalie C.J. Mott. Mott is also a Hobie Baker Award candidate again this season after finishing in the top 10 last year. This marks the 4th consecutive season that Ferris hockey claims a Senior Class Award candidate. All right, 6:27 now in Michigan this morning. Let's take a look at what's coming up on the next half hour of the show. Some sad news out of Wisconsin this morning. A northern Michigan pastor has died in a plane crash. We'll tell you what happened at 6:31. Plus, when you think of fly fishing, you probably think of summertime, but during the winter, fly fishermen and women keep busy by tying flies. At 6:45, Kaylin and Stephanie are live at the Carl T. Johnson Center in Cadillac, learning a skill. And in today's Jack's Journal at 6:49, how you can take a trip back in time in Manistee and learn about the history behind the city.
All right, 6:31 Michigan this morning, and outside right now we continue to see clear skies for the UP, and that's slowly working its way down to the lower peninsula. Let's take a look at your current temperatures out there right now. We do have 3 in Newberry, 6 in the Sioux, 8 on Drummond Island, 15 in Petoskey, 14 in Gaylord, 10 in Grayling, 13 in Traverse City, 14 in Cadillac, 14 in Houghton Lake, 17 in Big Rapids, 14 in Mount Pleasant, 16 in Manistee and Ludington. And wind speeds right now right around 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the east-northeast, and that's where they'll stay for today, and they will be rather light. Satellite and radar is showing you that we do have clear skies starting to work their way in for the UP and spots of the lower peninsula. Snow that we did have earlier continuing to taper off as it works its way south, and overall today we'll have mostly sunny skies after a little bit of cloud cover this morning with 18 to 25 degrees. I'll more on that and give you a look at the full 7-day forecast coming up in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Michael. We start this morning with some tragic news out of Wisconsin. A northern Michigan pastor died in a plane crash.
Martin Siegwart was a passenger on a single-engine plane headed to Minnesota with a pilot and one other passenger. The pilot noticed ice starting to form on the wings. He tried to make an emergency landing on a Wisconsin road. One of the wings hit a tree, sending it crashing into a ditch. Siegwart was a pastor at Boone Baptist Church in Wexford County. The pilot and other passenger were taken to a Wisconsin hospital.
The teen who caused a deadly crash in Leelanau County last year apologized to the families involved. Then, a judge sentenced him for the crime. Tyler Levesque learned he will spend 1 year in jail. Levesque was behind the wheel when he crashed into a truck at Botus and Schaumburg Roads in Centerville Township back in August. The man in the truck, Brian Nahazel, died at the scene. Drake Hendershot, a passenger in Levesque's car, also died. Last month, he pleaded guilty to 3 counts of reckless driving. Monday, the judge sentenced Levesque to 1 year in the county jail for each of the 3 counts that he faced. Each sentence will be served concurrently, meaning he'll spend 1 year in jail. Family of those involved in the crash made statements Monday, as did Tyler. Levesque will be on probation for 5 years. He'll also have to do 200 hours of community service, including sharing his experience so others can learn from his mistake.
In this update, we can tell you the name of the man accused of shooting a woman in Roscommon County. The shooting happened Saturday night at a home near Houghton Lake. Edward Percula is now charged with 1 count of assault with intent to murder and felony firearm. State police say he shot a woman during a fight. She was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
An update this morning on the newborn baby found dead at a downstate recycling center. Police arrested a suspect Monday. Police say they arrested a 24-year-old woman for the death of the boy. The baby was found earlier this month in Roseville. Police think he was between 1 and 3 days old when he died. Items found with the baby in the recycling bin suggested he may have come from Roscommon, Midland, or Aranac counties. But investigators who were sent to search in northern Michigan were called back downstate to follow leads there.
6:34 now on Michigan This Morning. In continuing coverage, an estimated 60 million people are waking up to a blizzard like they've never seen before. And it's a good bet most of them will stay right where they are.
Travel bans are in effect from New Jersey up to Massachusetts as crews try to manage the onslaught of snow. Chris Van Cleve is on New York's Long Island, where they're getting the worst of it this morning.
Snowplows faced the brunt of the northeast blizzard overnight as snow and strong winds battered Long Island.
The wind and visibility and everything, it's not too good.
Police in Humvees patrolled the snow-covered roads as the nor'easter kicked into gear Monday evening, parking itself over the East Coast, feeding off the ocean.
Here you can see the spin, right? Look at the tail. This moisture plume goes all the way down to basically Cuba. There is nothing but a lot of available moisture here.
That moisture means snow. Forecasters predict up to 3 feet in some areas. 6 states have declared states of emergency. In Massachusetts, Connecticut, and parts of New York, it is actually illegal to be out on the roads.
This is a serious situation. If you violate this state order, it's a possible misdemeanor. It's fines up to $300.
New York City, Boston, and New Jersey suspended travel on all subways, buses, and trains. Airlines canceled nearly 8,000 flights. Massachusetts called up its National Guard as thundersnow was reported near Cape Cod. A big worry still, hurricane-force wind gusts reaching speeds over 75 miles an hour.
If you lose power during the storm because of high winds, you might be without power for a period of 24 to 48 hours.
The blizzard warning will remain in effect until Wednesday. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Comac, New York.
2 Minnesota police officers are recovering after being shot at New Hope City Hall. Police say a man opened fire at a swearing-in ceremony for the officers Monday night. Police don't know yet why the man targeted officers. They're said to be in good condition and expected to be okay. Anger and frustration turned into a protest in Denver after police shot and killed a teenage girl. Dozens of protesters gathered at the spot where police say the 16-year-old girl used a stolen car to run down a cop. It happened about 6:30 in the morning when 2 Denver police officers responded where a stolen vehicle was spotted. Police say as the officers approached the car, the driver used the car to hit one of them in the leg.
I mean, she made a bad choice, but to shoot at the heads, there was people in the car. I mean, at least the cop could have shot the tire to let the vehicle stop, but no, he shot somewhere where she got her life taken away.
Police say 4 other teens were in the car at the time of the shooting but were not hurt. As for the officer who was hit, he has a leg fracture but is expected to be okay. Now an investigation is underway to determine what exactly happened.
In this update, a man has come forward after his 2-foot-long drone crashed on the White House grounds. The man says he'd been flying the drone for fun early Monday morning and didn't mean to fly it over the White House. The accident is now raising questions about White House security and could restart the debate about the use of commercial drones in the U.S. And in this update, a 6th body has been located in the rubble of a Maryland mansion fire. Investigators have recovered a body believed to be the last person missing since a massive fire on January 19th. 5 bodies were found last week, but none of the bodies have been officially identified. The 16,000-square-foot mansion was owned by Don and Sandra Pyle. Relatives say they believe the Pyles and their 4 young grandchildren were inside at the time and died in that fire. The cause remains under investigation.
It's the ultimate way to satisfy your sweet tooth. We're talking about a trip to what's likely the biggest baking and pastry party around.
And it's such a kick because I only baked for family and friends for a long, long time.
This is the first ever Cookie Con. It just finished up in Pasadena, California. From baking utensils to vendors handing out free cupcakes. You can see why the line wrapped around the block as thousands waited to get a taste of all kinds of sweets.
So it was a free event?
I think so, and I know 2 guys who would have been in that line. These 2.
Oh,
free cupcakes.
I wonder
free
how many laps I can make around the convention center.
You have to work off all of the cupcakes.
Are you kidding me?
Stevens.
Free cupcakes just left and right.
That's where the Comic Con would have come in handy because you put on outfits.
Yeah.
So Evan would have just gone out, threw on a different outfit, came back in, threw on another outfit, came back in.
I like the idea.
Didn't you already get a sample? No, that was when I was dressed as Elmo.
Didn't you get another sample? No, that was my twin.
That was Wolverine.
That was my twin, Bevan.
Oh, jeez.
Satellite.
I don't know where I'm gonna go when the volcano blows.
Yeah, I love that song. Iceland, that's the answer to your trivia question. Welcome back, 6:45 here on Michigan This Morning. 35 years ago, the Mackinac Trail Fly Fishers were formed in Cadillac.
And since then, this group has worked tirelessly to promote and protect the sport of fly fishing. This morning, Kaylin and Stephanie are getting a preview of their fly tying class this winter. Good morning, Kaylin.
Hey, good morning, Evan and Sarah. Learning about tying flies for fly fishing this morning. There's a free class that begins next week here at the Carl T. Johnson Center in Cadillac. We're going to be showing the email address or phone number at the bottom of the screen throughout the morning that you can contact to sign up for the class. It's free. The materials are provided. And you're going to start the class, John, with probably the most beginner basic fly.
Right. We will start the class with what we call the woolly bugger. Which
Take
is a
me through it.
Standard fly that used nation and worldwide.
Okay.
First thing we do is insert our hook in the vise.
Okay.
And then we'll start our thread, which is of course what we use to hold everything together on the
So you're just
fly with.
wrapping that around.
Right. We use that Once you wrap it over itself, it binds itself. Now this feather is called marabou, which is simply a dyed turkey feather. This is what we use for the tail.
Oh. Now I got a question for you, John. Is it years and years and years of just researching and reading the magazines and learning all about this, or is it passed down from, did someone in your family teach you how to do this, or is it a little bit of both?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I initially tried to tie flies when I was a teenager, and it didn't work out for me. I had no instructor. I didn't have anybody to show me. Well, when I got to college, I ran into a fella and he did tied flies.
Okay.
And so we started tying together, and I learned more from him in 2 or 3 sessions than I had learned myself, in several months.
What are you doing right now with that brown part?
What am I doing right now?
Yeah.
Okay. That is our body of the fly.
Okay.
And I just realized I made a little mistake, so
That's
I'm trying to
okay, it
hurry. We're going to go
happens.
back. We're going to tie in our hackle, which is going to make and then we will tie that down.
No worries.
No worries. We just kind of.
One thing John did tell me in the break, him and Denny, part of tying flies is you work so hard on these little miniature artworks that sometimes they will break or bust off. It's thread. You're not using industrial strength stuff here.
You use a little heavier thread on flies like this than you would on a smaller fly, but at the same time.
Oh my gosh. This is amazing. Is that basically it right there? That's pretty cute with the brown and black.
We're getting close. We're getting close. Now we take our hackle, which is from the neck of the chicken. You wrap that around, and it flares out.
Got it. Okay, we got it. We're running out of time here. John's really trying to finish this one. I don't think if we're going to get it, you guys, that's okay, because when we get back, we're going to show you the finished product of the woolly bugger, and then we're going to work on a more advanced fly. Remember, this is all the stuff you're going to learn when you come take the class with John and Denny next week. We'll see you in the 7 o'clock hour.
Yeah, it's really cool.
There's a more advanced fly than that?
Very delicate work, Michael Stevens.
I just say I couldn't do that. That is so tedious. And I sew, and that's pretty tedious, I think, but.
Yeah. Michael Stevens, I'm guessing you don't sew or do that.
I sew. I don't do that.
Yeah.
But I had friends in college that tour fly fishing tours around Wisconsin, and they went up to Alaska and did it, and they tied their own flies, and it is extremely tedious. And Sarah was over here quizzing me during the whole thing about what flies were and what they were doing and stuff like that, and I will tell you right now, it ranges from the easiest to the most advanced flies, and it takes hours in some cases. And they would sit there for hours watching TV doing this. It was unreal. So it's pretty amazing. 3 right now in Newberry, 6 in the Sioux, 15 in Petoskey, 14 in Gaylord, 10 in Grayling, 13 in Traverse City, 14 in Home Lake, 16 in Ludington, 17 in Big Rapids, 14 in Mount Pleasant. Wind speeds right now right around 0 to 10 miles per hour out there across northern Michigan out of the east-northeast. And we'll continue to see light winds, but overall mostly sunny skies today as the clouds are starting to clear out. Much drier air starting to move in from the north-northeast. And that will give us plenty of sunshine across northern Michigan with upper teens and mid-20s. I'll have more on that and give you a look at the 7-day forecast in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Michael. Well, from its roots in the logging industry to the historic buildings on River Street, going to Manistee can be a trip back in time.
Yeah, now you can visit one of the homes that has stood by as the city's changed and evolved into what it is today. Jack O'Malley shows us part of the historical tour in today's Jack's Journal.
The Manistee Historical Museum and the Area Visitors Bureau have teamed up to show off a very unique feature of their town. There's a walking or driving tour of 70 historic homes and businesses.
Looking at through the book, especially coming to the museum and reading about these buildings that were built, you do start to realize that this is a pretty special town and a pretty special area that we live in.
The buildings date back to the mid-1800s and are daily reminders of an era long ago, but not forgotten. These old buildings stand tall, ready to have their stories told. These North Woods mansions were built by the barons of lumber, and then another commodity that gave Manistee a new boost.
About 1879, early 1880 is when salt was discovered here, and that just added to all the millions of the millionaires who already had a lot of money.
And those barons used their riches to build beautiful homes and businesses and churches. And the architecture was a highlight to these visual works of art.
Absolutely, and Manistee is, when it comes to architecture, whether it's Victorian architecture, post-Victorian architecture, Manistee has lots to offer.
And so these buildings wait for the visitor to come by and learn about a different time. Guidebooks are available at the museum and all over town, or visit ManisteeCounty.com for more information.
To an individual, history begins when we're born. We only know what we know. This project in Manistee is set up to prove that there was life before the present. Join me next time on 9 and 10 News with another thought from Jack O'Malley's Journal.
Jenny got a job, a cat named Jake, 31 candles on a birthday cake.
Welcome back. Just turning 6:54 here on Michigan This Morning. The current Ebola outbreak in West Africa began in December of 2013. Since then, health experts have been working on ways to get it under control. The results from traditional diagnostic tests can take days to receive, especially in remote areas. So now, a new paper test could mean diagnosing the disease in under an hour without the need for electricity, trained technicians, or special equipment. We have more details in this morning's Healthy Living.
What looks like dots on a simple piece of paper could be the key to quickly diagnosing Ebola and other infectious diseases.
It's bio-based diagnostics. Potentially they could identify people more rapidly and define the outbreak more easily.
Known as a paper-based gene circuit, researchers at Wyss Institute at Harvard University developed the test that uses a patient's blood or saliva and a piece of blotting paper embedded with genetic information.
I add the sample, and if the correct RNA is present, then they'll turn red.
Each spot is a potential diagnostic test for Ebola or any other infection, bacterial or viral.
It's just like pH paper or the pregnancy test, with the advantage that we can sort of rapidly reprogram those tests to look for Ebola or look for some kind of other emerging pathogen.
The test can tell the difference between strains of infections and could one day be used at your home to diagnose a flu or cold.
And whether, that could help inform you as to whether you should go into the doctor to seek medical treatment or take antibiotics, things like that.
A simple test with a huge impact.
The portable paper diagnostic test costs between 4 and 60 cents to make. It can be freeze-dried and used up to a year later out in the field or anywhere in the world. Pardee and his researchers hope to solve some of the key technological challenges within a year and then make the test commercially available. Once available, results will take only 30 to 60 minutes. 6:56 here on Michigan This Morning. It is time to check in with Michael Stevens before we make the switch to Fox 32. And still kind of chilly out there, but better than yesterday and more sun.
Yeah, definitely going to have a little more sunshine in the forecast today, Sarah, as we work our way through today. Mostly sunny skies, even though we do have a little bit of cloud cover right now for the lower peninsula. That will change as we work our way towards this afternoon, evening. Let's take a look at what we have for the kiddos this morning. As you get them up and out the door to the bus stop, 4 to 22 degrees, light winds, cold, clear, light winds out there for the eastern UP, while you still have some clouds in the lower peninsula, but notice they're breaking up rather quickly. So those clouds will clear out. We'll actually be looking at mostly sunny skies for today. Your temperatures are going to be in the upper teens to mid-20s, and your winds are going to be out of the east-northeast at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And as we work into tomorrow, we'll start off quiet, but you'll actually have some snow showers later in the day. All of those details coming up over on Fox 32.
All right, thanks, Michael. Of course, much more news over on Fox 32 as well. Let's take a look at what's ahead. A northern Michigan pastor is dead after the plane he was in went down over Wisconsin. We'll have more details in our top story. And a Highland man was killed in a snowmobiling accident in Chippewa County. What the DNR has to say about being safe on the trails at 7:08.
And some of us will see the sun today. Just a few small spots of snow hanging around. Michael has an update in the full forecast at 7:11.